Matron, take them away.
It's fine day, 4th of January. And is it a fine day? Well, it's still pitch black out there. It doesn't get light till about 9 o'clock where I live. So God knows whether it's a fine day. And it's a bit like that with the charts and the economic news. And that's what these videos are all about. We look at the economic news to see if there's any potential turning points and spikes in the market that you need to be aware of. And then I go through the strengths of the market to see if there's a potential watch list for a pair that you can maybe trade today. So let's jump into it. It is on a reward basis. We look for 100 likes to keep these public. Otherwise, they just stay in the Discord group. So smash the like if you want to see some more, and we'll crack on. So we'll start with the economic news, where we always start, because these videos are quite quick and punchy. Through the night, there wasn't a great deal. There was a little bit of work with the Swissy, the Euro, China, Japan, but nothing to really sing home about. It didn't really spark anything up. Now, as we're going into this morning, there is quite a bit on the Euro. Now, if you're in the French CAC, you know, the CAC 40, be very careful this morning. Let the dust settle before you decide to go to market. Now, this will ripple over into sort of Euro pound, but certainly into the DAX. Now, if you're a DAX trader, trading at this time in the morning, it's very volatile. You've got to be a bit careful. Couple that with the fact that there's news coming as well. You might get caught out. Now, it's not necessarily going to turn the market on the DAX today, but what it will do is spike it. And the DAX, as we know, has a little nickname called the Widowmaker for a very good reason. It can truck in a single direction and then rattle backwards on itself. Now, from there, we're moving into pound news. Again, there's nothing singing home on the pound news at all. It's just all low level, but it's ripples in the pond and it'll keep things moving along. But then we back to the Euro this afternoon, and it is the German inflation rate. And this is why I was bringing up the DAX this morning, because whatever's happening this morning up to around 9:30 will be a precursor for what's going on at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Now, 1 o'clock this afternoon, we've got the inflation rate. That'll rattle the market. So there'll be a big spike. We then go into US data at 1:15. Again, if you're in cable, S&P 500, anything like this, it'll rattle. Boom. So the markets to watch will be pound US, Euro US, and US JPY. They will definitely start moving in and around 1:15 today. Then from there, it's pretty light. There's a lot of US data, but it's not high impact. But it's one after the other. Boom, 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 boom. And then as we come into mid-afternoon, something to keep close eye on is oil, because oil has quite a bit of news coming in. And what I'll be saying about oil is I may well be trading it today. It's been on a Murray truck downwards, and it seems to have bottomed out and is now starting to rise. This could be exaggerated by this news this afternoon, so it's just something to be aware of. Now, following on from that, if I pull up my sheet, it's pretty slim pickings today. It was very slim pickings yesterday as well, and it was hard work yesterday. Now, the biggest movers is the Swissy and the JPY, and you can see that here. The Swissy moved up 2 percentage points. This came down by 5. So there is quite a gulf, and it pulled it out as a contender. So you've got it as the biggest gainer and the biggest drop. It's also one of the market picks. So I was keeping half an eye on that, and that's why I put it into here. But there's nothing going on. The dominant bias, which is where I get my sort of trade ideas from, is it's pretty all over the place. So I'm going to have to hang fire for at least a couple of hours. So the chances are I'm not going to be looking at anything sort of this side of 9 o'clock. If I do, it'll be a very quick in and out. But I'll look at the Swissy in just a second. The market that the guys are looking at is the CAD JPY. Again, it's in the same situation. They're all over. The low time frames are down, the high time frames are up, and the mid time frames, well, they're either way. So they're at a tipping point. And if we watched this video yesterday, you'll have seen that all the currencies were bunched together, but it's the first week back from Christmas holidays. So you've got to be careful. And sometimes your only trade is sitting on your hands. Okay. Now from there, we looked at other contenders. We look at what's come out of the majors. Well, the only one pulling out is the Aussie. And it's the same situation. There's a lot of movement that could prime it to the downside, but the overall is to the upper side because the US is still relatively weak and has lost a lot of ground. So it's a hard call on that. Then you go to your old favourites, cable, and it's the exact same story. So the charts today are, let's just say they're going to be testing. So what I'm going to do, there's no point making any predictions or anything like that because that's just stupid. If you can't see the trades, don't trade it. Sit back, have a cup of coffee, and then come back to it an hour later. So what I'll do is I'll post something up in the YouTube community of what it is that I'm looking at. So keep an eye on that. Do comment on it and drop your comments below and I'll answer every single one of them. But at this moment in time, this morning, there's nothing on my radar. But if I'm going to trade and I have to trade and I flick this through, what I'd be doing is I'll go to the strongest, the weakest. So it's a Swissy JPY. Why? It's the biggest gainer and it's the biggest drop, and it pulled into here. From here, if I go down to see where this is, there's a decent ATR on it. It's also out of the news because with all the news that's going on this morning, that'll be out of it somewhat. So, and if we look at it, we don't know what's going on with the bigger, but it seems to be pushing down. So this one will be completely technically driven. That is there. There's the push down. What I have a tendency to do with this is I'll take it to the hourly and I'll look to see what's going on. Well, if that's the case, there's your hourly chart. I would look to go with this, put my fib on so I can see what's going on. It's crashing into there. I would look to sell this down into this area here. And that would be my call on this. Catch you all soon.